Hey, this is Pranav here, and today I want to share with you one tip, only one tip, which will hopefully transform your storytelling. It will elevate your storytelling, and not just your storytelling, of course, because it applies to your blogs, your social media posts, your podcasts, your YouTube videos, everything. That technique is known as the sandwich technique, which I've learned from Sean D'Souza from Psychotactics. So, a big shout out to Sean D'Souza for teaching me this thing. But why do we need to tell stories? Well, all of us are trying to create more content. We're trying to create more blogs, more podcasts, more videos, and so on and so forth. And what we are doing is that because of this noise, in order to stand out, we're creating even more noise. It's like if we have these blogs and videos which talk about 6 ways to do this and 7 ways to do that. And so, in order to beat that content, what we do is that we create even more mediocre content and we create even more noise, which, as you can clearly see, is not a great sustainable strategy. So, might as well stay away from them. But then what's the alternative? The alternative is to create stories. The alternative is to pull the audience towards you as opposed to running behind them. And one of the best ways in which you can create a story, or one of the most impactful ways in which your content can become a lot more story driven, is through the sandwich technique. What is the sandwich technique? Let's jump in. Okay, so as you can see, there is a point A and there is a point B. Every story has this initial point A, which kind of sets the context for the story. And then there is the point B, which happens towards the end of the story. And you're going to have to bear with me for another 2 minutes. This may sound a little bit abstract, but don't worry. I am going to give you enough examples so that this abstract thing becomes crystal clear. That's my hope and the hope and my dream today. Okay, so there is point A, and then there is point B, and then there's a whole lot of story in between. Every movie, every book, or every good story starts at this point A, where a certain kind of context is established. And towards the end, like I said, we move to point B, where the context has changed, the situation has changed a little bit. Now, I've written two words here. One is opposite, and the second is related. What do I mean by that? In a lot of ways, when the story is over, when we actually move to point B is actually the opposite of point A. So if something was not happening at point A, it is now happening at point B, or vice versa. If something was not happening at point B, it is now happening at you get the point, right? It can be vice versa. If there is sun at point A, then there is moon at point B. If there is light at point A, then there is darkness at point B. They're complementary. They are opposite to each other. But in certain cases, though, they don't always need to be opposite. They can also be related to each other. The point, though, is that if you start a loop, point A is when you start a loop. Something has started in the story, and you have to close it at point B, which is the exact point that I'm making. And if you introduce this technique in your stories, in your blogs, your storytelling and your blogs are going to become a lot more impactful. But I know this is extremely abstract. So let me give you a very specific example. We are going to go into the land of Bollywood to explore an example. I am going to give you the example of the Bollywood movie Lagan. Now, even if you're not familiar with, even if Hindi is not your language, it's absolutely fine, because you don't really need to understand what they're saying, because I'm going to explain the context to you right now. The context is simple. There is a village, and there has been a drought in the village, or the famine in the village. The rain just isn't coming. These are all farmers. Their livelihood depends on their farms. It depends on the crops, and the crops are not getting enough rain. And finally the rain, seems to be coming. The clouds seem to be coming, and then they're all singing. And let me just show you what happens. Like you saw, it was about to rain, but yet it did not rain. This was at the start of the movie. And then a whole lot of things happened during the movie, and then there is a cricket match in the movie, and basically it's a classic story of the hero beating the villain, or the good versus evil. and finally they win the cricket match. So there's a lot of struggle in between. The British have challenged India to a cricket match, and Indians struggle. They don't know how to play the cricket, so they practice. They do a hell lot of things, and finally they win. All right. Now here is what happens after they win. Okay, so did you see what happened? At the start of the movie, the point A was that no rains were coming. And at the end of the movie, point B, it started pouring. This is the sandwich technique. Okay, but how do we use this? I mean, by the way, you could see this in a lot of movies. The number is endless. You could see this in novels. But then the question is, how do we apply this to our content? How do we apply this to our blog posts or to our videos or to our podcast episodes? So let me give you two very specific examples. One is of a LinkedIn post and the other is of a blog article. So let me first show you a small article and how this sandwich technique is being used. As you can see this article, the title of the article is "Why Do Clients Sign Up?" But what I really want to emphasize on is this point A. If you look at this particular blog, by the way, this blog post has been written by Sean D'Souza himself from Psychotactics. If you look at the first paragraph, it says, have you ever wondered why people keep buying recipe books? Your grandma had a dozen books, so did your parents, and now even if you're not such a good cook, you're likely to have a few around the house. There are tens of thousands of recipes in blogs, etc., etc. So he goes on to talk about recipe books, and then he goes on to explain three other points, which is all about precise result, more fun, and easy. Basically, these are the 3 points why clients sign up. That is what he goes on to. But if Sean is a good storyteller, he will come back to recipe books. He will try to close the loop that he opened through point A. And so let's find out if he did. If I scroll down at the bottom of this blog article, see what it says. These ideas aren't fancy, yet they reduce the risk factor and inch up the like factor. We tend to look for super glitzy concepts to improve our business. Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of room because people are too busy chasing their tails, trying to do something extraordinary instead of doing what's essential. This, incidentally, is also the reason why we buy yet another recipe book when there are so many. The one we pick seems to feel like it will get better results, be more fun to read, and be a lot easier to cook. Getting it? I hope you are as excited about this as I am, because Sean has beautifully taken this story, taken the loop, closed it at the bottom. And now finally, let me show you how you can use this in a LinkedIn post. This is a LinkedIn post that I have written. Let me show that to you now. Okay, so here it goes. A Japanese monk once told me a secret that changed my writing forever. Okay, let's take a pause. Do you see what's happening? In the first sentence, I opened a loop. As a reader, you would be curious to see how the story develops. And this curiosity, hopefully, will pull you in and make you read the rest of the post. Open loops create curiosity and retain attention. But yes, at some point, the loop needs to be closed. And this is exactly what the Japanese monk told me. Do you see what I did there? I introduced the Japanese monk, and in this particular sentence, this is point A. And then I went here, this is point B, where I closed this loop. I hope you can all start using this storytelling technique known as a sandwich technique in your stories. As always, would love to hear your feedback, would love to hear emails from you. If you're still here, if you like this video, please press like, because that apparently helps the algorithm. All right, before I go crazy, let me log off. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.